The CS2 market has been pretty boring over the last couple weeks. I mean, you guys can even see it here in the last 30 days. We're actually down about 6.42%. In the last 90 days, we're only up about 3.37%. So the market has been pretty boring over the last couple weeks. And when we think about this, we go back to the trade revert update, the major sell-off after, and what's been happening since. We've just been really kind of chopping. We've been trying to bounce back off of the lows. And during this time, I keep saying that this is the best time to be looking into skins and cases because, again, after a wipeout like this, most people are not interested in buying. They want to buy the hype. So right now, while this market is still pretty boring, it's the perfect time to be tapped in and looking into some solid investments for the mid to long-term future ahead. Now, in this video, I'm going to be talking about USP-S skins to invest into. And the reason why is because just like the AK or the M4S or the M4A4, this is the main starter pistol on CT side, unless you're using like the P2000, which I don't know. I don't know anyone that uses the P2000. I know that there's a few players out there that do use it, but I just don't see the reason for it. The USPS is, far better in my opinion, but regardless of that, it's one of the most utilized pistols in the game, so the skins for it are going to be extremely sought after, especially those rare and, extremely rare skins as well. So we're going to talk about that, but first I want to quickly say thank you to everyone for subscribing to the channel. We just hit 200 subs. We're on a path to 1,000 subs, so every single sub helps. So I just wanted to quickly say thank you to everyone that's been supporting the channel. I appreciate it greatly. And with that being said, let's dive on in. So let's start off with looking at the market here. So I'm looking at the last 30 days and just looking across the board here. This has been a crazy time for some of these skins in this market. And the USPS market has been absolutely slaughtered. There's actually some great investments here, especially for the mid to long-term future ahead. You can see the count here. A lot of these are actually extremely rare skins. I already see a few here that we're actually going to be talking about in this video, but it's crazy that we're seeing such a sell-off like this in the USPS market because, again, this is one of the most sought-after weapon skins in the game because it is the most common CT-sided pistol to start off with. So I wanted to go over a few skins. We're going to give the basis on these skins as well. I actually wanted to start off with the USPS Purple DD Pat, and I'm actually comparing this to the Glock Pink DD Pat, which I bought back in the end of 2022, right before CS2 launched. It was actually like right around, I think it might have been around like December of 2022. So it was like right around this point here. I think I maybe paid like $35 or something like that. I have to look at the transactions, but since then it has skyrocketed to almost $100 at some point in time, and now it's been pretty stable. But it's crazy because this is a skin that just went insane, and it's because of how rare this skin actually is. I mean, if we're comparing it to the Purple DD Pat, I don't think that the Purple DD Pat is going to reach like, crazy high values because it's more common. It's a mil-spec grade item. And just going off of the actual market here, you could see just how different the supply is with the USPS Purple DD Pat with 7,000 offers on the market right now. And with the Pink DD Pat Glock, 2,000 offers. But I still think that this could be a very strong investment, and it's extremely cheap compared to some of these other USPS skins that we are going to go over in this video because it's about roughly $20 or less, meaning you can buy a decent amount of these for the mid to long-term future ahead. And so far, it's been a very good investment already, but I think that it can go higher, especially considering the fact that it looks so crisp in game. I think that it's one of the cleaner looking DD Pat skins, especially for a weapon like the USPS. And I love how it looks with certain gloves, as you guys can see here. But also on top of that, they do keep adding it to certain containers like the Austin 2025 Mirage souvenir package. So I would argue to really avoid the souvenirs. Do not buy the souvenirs here. I would be more so tapped in with just the factory new version of this because, again, you could see the difference here in terms of the souvenirs compared to factory news. They keep adding it to the souvenir packages, which means the souvenir side of the Purple DD Pat, the supply is going to continue to be flooded. And I know that it's a lot harder to actually open certain skins in the souvenir packages, but because this is a mil spec, it's going to be more commonly dropped in those cases. Now, next up on the list is the USPS Cortex. Now, this is one that I actually play with. I use this skin every single day in game. I personally love this skin. It launched back in 2018 with the clutch case, which we'll talk about here in a moment. And in game, this is a skin that just looks very clean. I love the details on it, especially on the suppressor. I love how it all flows together as well on the weapon, as you guys can see here in this image. And it's just a very clean looking USPS skin. And over time, I mean, the price has been pretty flat. This is because there is a lot more supply for this, skin, because again, even though it is a classified, if we go over here to the USPS market, we could see that there's about 20,000 offers on this Cortex, which means, again, the supply is far greater than, some of these other classified pistols. So again, the supply definitely is high, but again, this is allowing us to actually buy this one in StatTrak Factory New around $30, and it still looks very good in game. I could definitely see the supply on this diminishing over time, especially considering the fact that it is a part of the clutch case, which, like I said, we'll talk about here in a moment. But if we're thinking about the StatTrak Factory New, the 52-week high, we're only down about 5% from it. We're actually up about 52% off of the 52-week low, but the price action has barely budged compared to some of the other USPS skins out there. Now, in terms of the StatTrak Factory New, like I said, the supply on this one is actually significantly lower compared to the other ones, with 8,164 supply. We could see where most of the supply overview is actually here as well. You could see the difference. So when we look at StatTrak Factory New, this is what we want to be buying, because there's only 8,164 out there compared to the other ones. Even when we go back over here to CSGO if we're looking at like minware, this is where a lot of those active offers are, like 1.3K, field test it, 2.4K. So we want to avoid these lower wear ones. We actually want to get the Factory New StatTrak, which is why I do think that the StatTrak Factory New version of this could significantly increase in value because of how low the supply actually is for a $30 StatTrak Factory New USPS skin. And like I said, it's a part of the clutch case. The clutch case, the supply of this has been diminishing over time, which is also causing the value of it to also increase over time as well. And I do think that this is a case that will continue to get open quite a bit because of the gloves within this case. So that could also affect the value of the skins within this case as well in the mid to long-term future ahead. Now, next up is a skin that a lot of people actually don't know about, which is the USPS Road Rash. Guys, this has been one that's been increasing in value significantly over time. It looks great in game. I know that it looks rough. It looks, completely scratched up and so, but that's exactly what it's supposed to look like. Again, certain people will like the skin, certain people will hate the skin. It's very similar to certain, skins in the game. One skin that comes to mind when I think about this is, the AK-47 Fire Serpent. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people love it. It all just depends on your personal preference. But I actually like how this skin looks. I like the grudge sort of effect of it. And if we're thinking about that, overall, the price has been pretty flat on this. I mean, it's crazy to look at, but, at some point in time, this was a very sought after, valuable skin, $200, $300, $400, sometimes at $800 plus. And again, if we're looking at the containers here, is this still being added to active souvenir packages? The most recent active one from the date wise here is about 2024. Outside of that, there hasn't been any more souvenir cases that this got added to. Does that mean that the souvenir side of this could still see, an additional case being added to the game where this gets tossed in it? It definitely can, which means, yeah, sure, we probably should be looking at the factory new version of it as a, better investment, because all of the containers here have been souvenir packages over time. It's no longer in the game in terms of active rotation. So when we're thinking about the souvenir factory new, it's hard to say for certain what's going to be happening here over time, but if we're looking at this as a solid investment, let's actually open up a new tab real quick. And let's just take a quick at the Road Rash, because I just want to really take a quick look at the supply metrics here and just kind of compare it. So if we're looking at the Souvenir factory new in terms of supply, there's only 209 of these. If we're thinking about factory new, there's about 4,500. So this supply, even if it got added to an active case in game, I don't think that the supply would change so much to the point where it's going to affect the value in a huge way, which is telling me that the Souvenir factory new version of this skin could be a very good investment, considering the fact that it is a restricted pistol. Let's go back to the skins over here. Let's actually do an advanced search. 1 second. So we want to go to factory new. We also want to go to restricted and just take a quick look at how it really kind of matches up with some of the other restricted Souvenir, skins. So right off the rip, if we're looking at the Road Rash, again, the only other ones that have souvenirs are like the Orange Anolis or the Ancient Visions, which again, you can see the difference here in terms of the souvenir side. These, I think, actually got added to a new case. Let me just check real quick. Yeah, so this is in the 2025 and even in the 2024 souvenir package, which is why the souvenir side of it has been diminishing greatly in value. In terms of the Ancient Visions, again, 2024, 2025. So the only one that actually wasn't added to the 2025 one is the Road Rash, which is the only other one in souvenir. All of the other ones are either stat track or just regular pistol skins without any stat track or souvenirs available. So this could be a very, very valuable souvenir pistol if it doesn't get added to any more containers going forward. But with such a low supply for the souvenir side, I still think that even if it did get added to a 2025 or maybe even a 2026 package, I don't think that it's going to severely impact the value of this. But this is something that I think could be very valuable long term, especially considering the supply metrics here. I would be looking into the factory new souvenir side of this pistol for the long-term future, because it could be in the multiples of hundreds of dollars to even possibly $1,000 at some point in time, depending on how low that supply actually gets with demand. And we also have to think about it like this: how much demand is there for a pistol that looks like this? A lot of people will probably not like the look of this pistol, but it all depends on personal preference. Outside of the Road Rash though, now the next skin that I'm looking at is the Printstream USPS, and the main reason why is because, listen, we know how sought after the Printstream skins have been in game. The M4A1S is one of the most sought after M4A1S skins out there. The Printstream Deagle is also extremely popular, and even the OP with the Fever case, everyone was hunting the OP Printstream. So I do think that the USPS Printstream is also going to be extremely, sought after and popular for quite some time. Now, in terms of the value of the factory new stat track USPS kill confirmed, we could see over time that this has significantly lost a ton of value. And the main reason for this is because it is a part of the recoil case. The recoil case is still in active rotation. It's being boxed quite a bit. The supply is changing. But one thing that I will say is just focus on the supply metrics for some of these weapons. For an example, the stat track factory new, there's only about 2,400 out there. And yes, I'm rounding up, compared to like 13,244 factory news. So you want to get the stat track factory new here for the long-term investment road. But also, when we're thinking about the 52-week low compared to the 52-week high, we're kind of like right around the middle here. The price hasn't changed much. Obviously, we still need to take into account that it is still an active rotation compared to the other coverts that are stat track with the USPS. I'm mainly looking at the kill confirmed here because, again, when we're looking at some of these weapons, I mean, the USPS kill confirmed, this is one to definitely look into for the long term. It's a little bit more of a high value item, but it's extremely rare because it is a part of the shadow case. The shadow case is no longer in active rotation. A lot of people have boxed the shadow case, so the supply for it definitely continues to drop. But in terms of the kill confirmed, we can see over time just how crazy this has been in value. At some point in time, it was over $1,400, and it did sell for that back in 2020. Today, it looks incredible in game with the difference in terms of the graphics in the game, but it's still a very sought after skin. It's still a very popular skin. But what's crazy about this is, like I said, if we're comparing it to the USPS print stream, the main reason why this is so expensive compared to like the print stream, for an example, is simply because of the supply metrics here. Factory new stat track 1,251. There's no longer going to be any more, kill confirms, flooding the market, because again, the case that it's a part of is no longer an active rotation. But even then, the stat track factory new USPS print stream and the kill confirmed, we could see the difference here in total supply. It's about roughly 1,000. So I do still think that the print stream could be, at that $600+ mark, just like the USPS kill confirmed. But the main thing that's going to determine that is when and if the recoil case is going to be taken out of active pool, which I do think that it's going to be one of 3 to get, removed. I think that it's either the fracture case, the recoil, or even the revolution. A lot of people have their own opinions on this. Again, anything is possible. I mean, listen, Valve can take out any case from active rotation. They could take out the gallery case. They could take out the fever case. It's questionable on which one is going to get taken out next, but again, I still think that the print stream USPS is going to be one to actually hold for the mid to long term. It's not a bad playable skin either. I mean, listen, you could just toss this on and just hold it long term until it does, accumulate in value, or you could just buy up multiple of it in terms of supply. I know it's a little bit more expensive compared to some of these other ones that we've gone over, but I do think that it's going to be a very strong investment long term. So with that being said, those are my USPS skin picks right now to look into. Obviously, I'll probably do another video on some other USPS skins if you guys do want to see that one, because again, I don't want these videos to be 30 minutes long every single time, but there's a lot of information to go over when it comes to, investing into this market. But with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, and turn notifications on to never miss a future update. Comment down below what you would like to see in the next video as well, because it definitely helps me. And with that being said, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.